That's it. I like that you got me a glitter is my favorite color.
Perfect.
You get this is life and I get glitter.
Buddy, it's an interview. I thought we should have some coffee.
There's no coffee in it. This thing is empty. This is like American Idol.
Hello there, friends and fellow real estate investors. My name is Adrian of Quality Properties for You, and today I'm going to show you some of my interview with Ryan Carr of rwcarrinvestment.com. Now, Ryan Carr is a full-time real estate investor in the Durham region who specializes in maximizing residential rent potential by utilizing his unique vertical split method with accessory apartments. Ryan has used this method time and time again to effectively increase monthly rents anywhere from $300 to $500 per a month. And in this incredibly hot market that we find ourselves in right now, as you can imagine, an additional $500 a month positive cash flow could really be the difference between having a good deal and having no deal at all. So check out the video, and hopefully this will be the game changer you need to find your next investment property.
Vertical split. So the vertical split is something that I came up with a couple years back, and I was kind of in seek of more cash flow for properties. A lot of people were doing what I call the gold standard, which is the basement apartment, right? A lot of people have done it. You got your main floor apartment, you got your basement apartment, typical 1960s bungalow, something like that, right? And that's great, that's awesome. That is like the bread and butter for a lot of people. Right, but I wanted to do something a little bit different, push the envelope, see where I could make a little bit of extra money, given the four walls, that most homes have. And that's kind of where the vertical split came from. Was what can I do with the existing layout of the property to make it work and still make money, but to make it more profitable or to make the renovation a little bit easier.
No, it's a really good idea. Do you want to maybe show the viewers at home a little bit?
Yeah. All right. So for the vertical split, we're going to use one example that I traditionally give for the bungalow. Right, which is kind of the easiest to break into. So, typical vertical split in a bungalow. We'll talk about just a traditional apartment first. Your traditional basement apartment, which I call the gold standard, we just talked about that, is you got your main and you got your basement, right? Very standard. Sometimes you have a side entrance and a front entrance, right? This guy goes down here, this guy goes in here. That's your standard basement apartment, right? That's really cool. That works, but I like to switch it up a bit. So what I like to do for the vertical split, using the exact same property, completely identical, is rather than splitting up and down, put a wall down the center. So what we now have is Unit A, Unit A, Unit B, Unit B. People are preconditioned to think that in a full home, you've got a set of stairs, you've got a main floor, and you have a basement. That is traditional North American lifestyle living, right? And that's what I'm trying to provide here, but we're doing it with a bit of a twist. So this layout here, for example, the front unit may have had the original staircase. Doesn't matter if it's the front or the back, but we would be adding a second set of stairs. So that Unit B can come in, Unit A can come in, both levels have upstairs, both levels have downstairs, right? And it gives that preconceived notion that they're living in a full-size home when, in effect, they're not. They're not getting the full amount of square footage that the home offers, but it does perceive value in that respect. So from a numbers perspective, why I like this the best is because your front unit typically is paying $1,300 a month. Your back unit is going to be paying $1,300 a month. Whereas your standard basement apartment, your main unit may still be paying the $1,300 that we talked about there, but your basement will be paying less, right? By changing to the vertical split mentality, you're making the spread on the back unit without losing the cash flow from the front unit. And your upstairs units are typically your money makers, right? So when you do it this way, you're making $300 a month in positive cash flow. That's good enough for free property management. That's good enough to cover your maintenance and repairs, maybe some vacancy, that kind of thing. So if you average that out over the whole year or an ROI or something like that, you're going to see that increase in numbers.
Okay, I just want to jump in here and do a quick property analysis for you and really break down the numbers of a property like this one. So let's start off by assuming it's just a traditional bungalow with a basement apartment. In this particular area, very conservative numbers, you're looking at $1,300 for your upper unit and $1,000 for your lower unit. This is giving you a gross monthly rent of $2,300. Now at those numbers, that's going to have your tenant paying their own utilities. So the tenants are covering their own gas, their own water, their own hydro. Bam, that's done. Now let's take a look at the property. After renovations, adding the accessory apartment, it's not unusual to be spending about $450,000. Now let's assume you're going with traditional bank financing with an 80% LTV. That's going to make your down payment $90,000 and your monthly mortgage payment of about $1,450. So now let's do this calculation. We're going to go ahead and take your gross monthly rent. We're going to subtract your mortgage payment of $1,450. We're also going to subtract $100 for insurance, and we're going to subtract $300 for your property taxes. This is giving you a monthly cash flow of $450. Now, as you know, cash flow is king. It's great, but it is not the only wealth builder in real estate. There's two more. So first of all, we've got your yearly cash flow. So let's throw that over there. We take your $450, we multiply it by 12. We've got $5,400 yearly cash flow. Next is principal recapture. So as you may already know, the general idea is your tenants are paying you, you are paying off your loan to the bank, and as you pay off that, as you give the bank the monthly mortgage payment, some of that is going to go towards interest. In fact, more of it's going to go towards interest at the beginning, and the other portion is going towards your pay down of your loan. As you pay down your loan, that becomes equity available to you, and it becomes profit. So even though in these first few years you're paying a lot of interest, you're still going to have, in this situation, a principal recapture of $8,000. Now, the last one is appreciation. This is the last wealth builder that we want to talk about in this little property analysis. Now, appreciation, right now in this particular market is very high. So it's 20% in this city, and in this particular area where the property is located, it's actually not unusual to see 30% appreciation over last year. Now, we're going to be sophisticated real estate investors. We're not going to bank on it always being a very hot market. So right now, reality may be closer to 30% appreciation, but for this calculation, we're only going to use 3% appreciation. So it's a very mediocre market, let's say. Now, even with 3% appreciation, that number on a $450,000 property is $13,500. So we take your three wealth builders, we add those all together, and we have, bam, $26,900. Now we take that number, we divide it by your initial investment of $90,000, and you can see what your return on investment is, and that's going to be 29.8, which is a great return on investment. We're going to take it a step further, and now let's take a look at the vertical split. So the difference now is in your rent income. So before you had $1,300 for your upper, $1,000 for your lower. It's going to be side by side. You're going to have that, as Ryan said, the more perceived value because they both have upper components to the units. So now you're going to get $1,300 for unit A and $1,300 for unit B, bringing your gross monthly rent up to $2,600. Now this is going to change this number over here. So now your yearly cash flow is going up from $5,400 to $9,000. We're going to assume these other numbers are the same. We're going to add those together. You're going to have $30,500 profit for that year. You calculate that with your return on investment based on your initial investment of $90,000, and you've got 33.8%, which is a great return on investment, and it's even 4% higher than it would be with the gold standard of having a regular basement apartment.
Is there any downsides to doing the vertical split?
Is it more expensive? Is there more permitting involved? Do you have to explain this to the building inspectors?
You know what? Yes, to answer all those questions. There are some downsides. It is a little bit more expensive sometimes. And yes, it takes some explanation. So because it's not the cookie cutter norm, right? I've had to explain it to the zoning department and the planning department and some of the inspectors to make sure that they are on board and they do understand what we're going through. Because I'm thinking outside the box, people that work for the cities and towns and municipal licensing, they don't like to think like that because it's difficult.
They're used to their little check boxes. Right?
That's right. And when you work outside of those norms, you get different results. And that's what I like to do because it's exciting for me, right? So yes, it does take some explanation there. As for, does it cost more? It can, but it can also be cheaper. So in some cases, depending on how we're splitting the units, so like what we were doing with the bungalow example up there, it offers some benefits. For example, you can use different style pot lights that aren't fire rated because you're not separating the floors anymore, you're separating the wall.
Right.
You might not have to You might not have to separate the ductwork in a fire cavity, whereas in a traditional bungalow with a basement apartment, maybe you do, depending on your local building code, right?
Okay.
So there's some options there. As far as being more expensive, yes, you're cutting a big hole in the floor to add a second set of stairs sometimes, right? So that's a big expense, especially for somebody who doesn't maybe understand the way that construction works, right? And they're subbing it out to different contractors, so that can be an expense. But again, it just depends on the property. Right, so it's very dependent on the layout and the existing windows and the floor space and the square footage and how it's all utilized, right? Because every house is built different.
Originally, when you started investing, I'm assuming you kind of purchased your own houses all by yourself. But I know as you've grown, and I've seen you and talked to you at meetings, everybody's going after you for joint ventureship these days. You know, everybody wants to work with you. So I'd be interested to know, like, how does that generally work in one of your deals? Again, it's probably different with every property.
Yeah, sure. So I take a ton of phone calls, people asking me like, what are you doing? Tell me about the vertical split. How can we get these numbers to work and how can we make them better? And I've got properties with JV partners that are vertical split and some that aren't, right? So it just depends on the property itself. But as for the actual financials of the property, traditionally the JV partner would put up all the funds. So that would be closing costs, renovations, and there was one, down payment.
That's the one.
Right? And then I would do all the work and become the property expert. So they finance it, I look after the investment, right? And together we come up with a plan that works for both of us.
Nice.
From there, the split is, it's always what you negotiate, but I mean the gold standard for JV is 50-50, right? So 50-50 on cash flow, income, expenses, maintenance, and that kind of thing moving forward. And when the deal is all done, you just carry on and rent the property as if it were your own, right? If you sell the property or dispose of it or transfer title in any way, right, the JV partner always gets their money back first. So whatever they put into the deal, and then any profits or losses from there are split according to your percentage of ownership.
All right, Ryan. So we kind of know how you have your joint venture deal all set up now. And as the property expert and a contractor, you're really managing all the tradespeople and getting all the construction ready for this. So tell me, how do you kind of prepare for this upcoming vertical split project? What do you have to get ready for, and how early are you getting ready for contractors or permitting, based on when you take possession of the house?
Sure. So I just finished up finding a property. We just did a deal with a gentleman who purchased a bungalow, right? Completely gutted the bungalow. Thought he was going to put an addition on, thought he was going to go up, thought he was going to go off to the side, then he thought he was going to put a garage on, he wasn't quite sure. And then he just said, you know what, this property isn't for me anymore, I'm going to move. Right? So this one in particular, I had almost 3 months, 2 to 3 months of lead time from when I actually found the deal, signed on it, said, okay, this is mine, to the day that I actually closed. So in between that time period, I was able to go to the city, talk to them about what they needed, just have a general conversation about how to put in in this case it was a basement apartment, but it was a vertical split type project, right? So I was just asking them, because if you get too carried away with vertical split, sometimes they get confused, right? So I tell them, I just want to put a secondary suite in this property, keep it really general, what do you guys need to see? Right. So once I found out that, I was able to take that to my drafter. We were able to do a site plan, say, yes, we can do 2 driveways, or yes, we can do certain aspects of the property to make it a vertical split. And then I would go back and present that to the city. Now, something that's really important that I always tell my mentor students and my JV partners, and even if it's just a purchase for myself, right? I will ask the homeowner, would you be able to provide me with a letter that I've got pre-drafted up, right? Can you just sign this saying, yes, I allow you to go to the town, the city, the region, wherever you might be located, the province, and do your due diligence for permits, ask any questions, allow them freedom of information to give you answers to questions that you may have based on the document that you provide.
Okay.
Right? And that'll save you so much time.
That's it.
After closing, because I'm able to submit my drawings, ask questions, get all the research done, so that on closing day, which is coming up very, very soon, right, I can say, okay, my incomplete application that you guys already have, now we can make this complete. Here's my transfer deed from the lawyer. And they can say, okay, boom, we'll register it, give us a day, and you can have your permits. So like on day 2, you're ready to go.
Wow.
Saves you a ton of time. So that's a smoking way to save time and money, because carrying costs is money.
That's it, exactly, carrying costs. Because otherwise, as soon as you acquire the property, at that point, once you close on it, you could be waiting another 6 weeks to get a permit approved, but you've already kind of jumped the ball, you're already on all that stuff. So you're closing on this property pretty soon, right?
Really soon, within a couple days.
Okay, nice. So, as soon as you close on the property, you're saying the next day you're pretty much going to have people in there.
Yeah,
getting
I've already got
organized.
all the sub trades ready to go. The orders are done. I've got a spreadsheet on all the materials that I use. Right, so everything is set.
Wow.
So like we're closing day, we're good to go.
All right, now let me ask you this,
Yeah.
and for the people at home then, would we be able to come maybe take a look at the property before they start? I don't even know if there's going to be enough time to get in there.
We go pretty quick.
And we're going to have to head over there, but would that be, maybe just do like a little bit of a walkthrough of the property and kind of give us your ideas?
Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
so
we could do it.
let's
So
see.
like what we talked about there with the top demonstration,
Right.
that's exactly the style that we're going with. We're going with 2 sets of stairs. We're going with
Okay.
a vertical split. It's a bungalow, right? Totally traditional property, but with an untraditional renovation.
Nice.
So, yeah, we'll check it out.
Yeah, I think that'd be better because I mean this interview atmosphere is fun and
It's
everything,
cool.
but we could throw our contracting clothes on and
Oh.
get out there on site. It might be a little bit different for the viewers.
Can I bring my glitter cup?
You better bring your cup.